Hello Internet! In this video we are going to look at Galarian Articuno. I will talk about the different sets and spreads I've made for it, talk about the different ways I think it can potentially be used in VGC, and I will pick out my favourite set at the end too. But to start off though, let's have a look at what this new form of Articuno has to offer. We have a Psychic Flying type, which I haven't really seen too much of in the past of VGC. Lugia was never really that successful, neither was poor Xatu or Sigilif or Swoobat either in the formats that have all been legal. But Articuno here has got a fantastic ability in competitive. And you have to imagine this is their attempt to perhaps decentralize the metagame away from Landorus a bit, which has in the past, in the formats where it has been legal, been pretty over-centralizing really, hasn't it? We have had Milotic, we've had Bishop and various other Pokemon in the past, but Articuno here has got some really good stats to back this up as well, to make it a pretty good deterrent for Landorus. Yes, we've got a base special attack of 125, really good there, but the key is we are faster than Landorus, or can potentially run to be faster than Landorus. We've got a base speed of 95 here compared to Landorus's 91. Not only that though, we have got some pretty good bulk stats here too. 90 HP, 85 and 100 in each of the defenses, so okay, especially bearing in mind this competitive ability, Articuno can maybe be run in more of an offensive way, but actually maybe, you know, with these defensive stats, maybe we've got some more defensive, more support options as well too. It seems like it's going to be quite a diverse Pokemon, so let's have a look at the moves. Again, I've picked out probably the more viable moves that Articuno learns. Let's start off by looking at the offensive ones. We've got good stab moves. We've got Hurricane and Air Slash, depending on if you prefer accuracy or power. We've got Freezing Glare as well, a good psychic attack that can freeze opponents. We have also got Expanding Force, but yes, Articuno is a flying type. Psyshock. Shadow Ball is probably Articuno's best coverage option, because Metagross is, you know, pretty common in the format, so obviously resisting the psychic and flying attacks, Shadow Ball will hit super effective there, and you know, gives a decent option against that, but otherwise, you know, hasn't really got any good coverage options. Ancient Power is not really the best move, but I think Articuno's strengths are going to be in the support moves, and we have got a good list of support moves down here, and straight away we can see Tailwind is jumping out at us. No longer is Tailwind a move tutor move, so Pokemon like Zapdos and Salamence in the past that have been, you know, reliable Tailwind setters and been threatening in Tailwind, we don't really have those options anymore. Options for Tailwind, good Tailwind setters, are pretty limited now. We have got Tornadus now, but Articuno is also a very, very, very good Pokemon to have Tailwind, because not only can it get up Tailwind, it is a threat in Tailwind as well too, compared to something like Whimsicott or Talonflame that are not the most threatening Pokemon anymore. We have also got Trick Room. We've also got Imprison as well, so if you are using a fast team, perhaps you don't want your opponent to get Trick Room up, you can run both Imprison and Trick Room on the same set and lock Trick Room out for your opponent so they cannot get it up. We have seen Pokemon like Indeedee Male and Chandelure and sometimes Gothitelle use that combination in the past as well too, to deny opponents Trick Rooms, so really, really good option there. Skill Swap, Hypnosis, yeah, good moves. I'm not sure we'll see them used that much in Articuno, but we've also got Calm Mind and Recover as well, so a decent setup move there, and a really good, reliable recovery move too. So straight away, again, we're seeing that Articuno, you know, maybe has got some really good options here. It seems like he's got some really good moves. But before we want to, you know, start EVing our Articuno, let's think about how fast we want it to be. Now, it has got that base speed of 95, so, you know, we do need to keep Landorus in mind. You know, we don't really want to be slower than it, and there's not really too much faster than Landorus that we can really aim for either. So, if you don't think Jolly Landorus is going to be too much of a threat, you know, if you find just checking Landorus, then you can just stick with maybe a modest Articuno, go with 228 EVs there and outspeed it. But I think to be safe, since I think Jolly Landorus is going to be more common this year than maybe any other, I think, you know, just investing a bit more, you know, going to a Timid Nature with the 228 EVs there, and you will be faster than Jolly Landorus. Above that, though, I mean, you know, if you are going that fast, maybe you could go a bit faster to at least speed tie with other Articuno, with Tapu Lele and Arcanine and other things that are base 95 there, or if you do want to invest a bit more bulk, if you don't want quite so many speed EVs, you could just invest 100 EVs and then have a a +1 either through an airstream or other means, as you will see perhaps in some of our sets here. You can outspeed base 121s with that investment, so you will be faster than Naganadel there. You will also be faster than Cinderace and Inteleon in that same kind of area as well too. Now, we do know that Articuno also does learn Trick Room, so there is perhaps an option for it to go slow here as well. The slowest it can get is a speed of 45, which incidentally is the same minimum speed as base 45 Pokemon, so Marowak, Conkeldurr as well too with the base 45, you will speed tie with them if they are also minimum speed, and you do need to be not only minus speed nature and 0 IVs, you do need a -2 to your speed as well to tie with that. But yes, there are items that help with that. So okay, we've talked about the different possibilities already for Articuno. Let's jump into some of the different sets that I'm going to show you here. The first one that I'm going to show you is the least imaginative set. It is a very straightforward, really simple offensive set, as I've entitled here, with just Hurricane, Freezing Glare, good stab moves, Tailwind, as I've been talking about, a fantastic move for Articuno, and Protect, a really good move there as well. So, powerful moves. You're probably going to be Dynamaxing this Articuno at some point, that's why it's Hurricane, for more damage, Freezing Glare, Tailwind, Protect, and for a set like this, I have put a Life Orb on there, and that is why it is just a simple offensive set. I have, as you can see there with the speed investment, gone to the point of outspeeding Jolly Landorus, so we are a check to Landorus there, we will be threatening Landorus, so that's good. We've got a lot of special attack investment there as well too, because this is just a really simple straightforward Life Orb set. Not much investment. I always think that investing bulk in a Life Orb set is a little bit pointless, since you are going to be doing recoil to yourself every time you attack. The HP number here is pretty good for using Life Orb as well, taking almost minimal recoil there. But I'm not going to dwell on this set too long, because it is just a really, really simple, really straightforward set. So here's a few calculations. But we can see, let's say, if they lead Landorus, if you lead Articuno, if they activate your competitive, you're going to be at +2 with the Life Orb, with a max Airstream from Hurricane. Even if they Dynamax their Landorus there, you will one-shot it, unless they are Assault Vested or really, really heavily invested. So that top calculation is pretty cool, isn't it, really? Without the competitive boost, just with the Life Orb boost, a max Airstream will one-shot Amoonguss. Likewise, will one-shot Assault Vested Rillaboom, which are, really key things to have as well. And just as a bit of a defensive calculation too there, that little bit of bulk that I've put in, just in case you are in a situation of facing down a Tabakoko with a Life Orb in terrain. If you're Dynamaxing, if they're Dynamaxing, they only have a 1 in 4 chance to one-shot you. Without that bit of bulk there, it's more like a 50-50 roll there. So I thought that might be worth a little bit of bulk. So, okay, really, really straightforward set there. Fast, offensive, Life Orb, with Tailwind, not a whole lot to think about here. We can be more creative than this, can't we? We can think of better ways to use Articuno. So the second set that I'm going to show you has got 2 different options. And here it is, 2 different variations to this, but both with the same moveset. Calling it the control set. We have, again, Hurricane and Freezing Glare, really good stab moves. But now we have got Imprison and Trick Room. So, yes, if you're using a more fast offensive team, if you do not want your opponent to get the Trick Room up, you can sit in there with your Articuno, press Imprison, and Trick Room will be locked out. They cannot use Trick Room while you're using Imprison. So, good option for Articuno there. But, again, 2 options for this set. The first one that I'm going to go with is, and if you've followed me through VGC in the past, you'll know that I do like this item. I have gone with the Adrenaline Orb on this set. So we are not timid anymore. We've gone to modest. We've taken quite a lot out of the speed here, but you can see we are at that 100 EVs level, so that with a +1 speed boost, so if we do get an Airstream or if our Adrenaline Orb is activated, we will be faster than base 121s. So Naganadel, yes, but also Inteleon and Cinderace, those fast things around there, we will be faster than at +1. We haven't got a whole lot of special attack investment either, but because we are modest, we have essentially got a decent amount of investment. We've got a pretty good special attack stat there. I'll show you what that calculation's for in just a moment, what that stat's for. And we've got the rest essentially in physical bulk, because, if this is your Pokemon for denying the opponent Trick Room, you do kind of want the the Articuno to be sitting around as long as possible to keep the Trick Room lock on as long as possible. And with this bulk, we can survive some pretty surprising attacks, really. So let's have a look at some of these calculations. First, though, the investment of just 36 with the modest nature at +2. So let's say a Landorus has led again. We get our Adrenaline Orb activated, so we are faster. We get the competitive activated, so we've got a +2 there. And we don't even have to Dynamax, just a Freezing Glare at +2. Don't even have to risk the accuracy of Hurricane either. Just a Freezing Glare, unless they're Assault Vested or heavily invested, we will one-shot a Landorus Therian, which is fantastic. So that's a pretty good calculation. That's the benchmark of offense that I've gone with here. But you can see that we can take some pretty surprising attacks as well. We've got a Tyranitar's Crunch, Adamant Max Attack Tyranitar Crunch. We will survive that, at a decent point. Landorus's Max Rockfall, so if they do Dynamax their Landorus and go for a Max Rockfall, if they are jolly, we will survive that. If they're adamant, then it's a bit of a roll that it could knock us out. And I've just put a Tapu Koko down here at the bottom as well. A Thunderbolt in electric terrain without the Life Orb, again, without Dynamaxing, we will survive too. So there is a decent amount of bulk in this Articuno. I do quite like this spread. We're utilizing the bulk because we've got the Adrenaline Orb, so we don't have to invest in that speed so much, because if we activate the Adrenaline Orb, we are going to be fast anyway. A good special attack stat to hit that +2 calculation on the Landorus, and the rest in bulk. But the second option for this set is just a Citrus Berry spread. Now, I've changed things up a little bit here. I have gone back to Timid and almost max speed again, so that we are faster than Jolly Landorus. Because we're not modest, we have had to invest more into the special attack here, but this is ultimately, pretty much the same special attack investment, the same special attack stat, so the calculation on Landorus is pretty much the same, and the rest is pretty much put in bulk there as well too. We have got the Citrus Berry to compensate for that lack of bulk, but with this set, you're not so reliant on the Adrenaline Orb being activated. That is the key for this. So again, we'll just look at a few calculations here. Again, we can see with this investment at +2, we will still get that same roll on Landorus. So yep, good one shot there with Freezing Glare. Yes, we're not quite as bulky as the other one. We'll survive, a Rock Slide from a Max Attack Tyranitar, but we won't necessarily survive a Crunch from a Max Attack Tyranitar. So they have got a chance to one shot us there if they are maximum attack. And I thought I'd just put a physical electric attack on there just to see kind of how much it would do as well. So Thunderous' Wild Charge, it would have again like a 1 in 4 chance to one shot this Articuno too. So there's ups and downs for each of these sets. This first one is bulkier, can take more hits, but maybe is a bit more reliant on the Adrenaline Orb being activated. But again, if the Adrenaline Orb is activated, competitive is also being activated, and you are instantly a really good threat. And this second one, not quite so bulky. The Citrus Berry is there to maybe compensate for that lack of bulk, but we're not as reliant on the Adrenaline Orb being activated. So maybe if a Landorus, is already in the field and the Articuno comes in, then you are still going to be faster. You don't have to take a Rock Slide or whatever to, get your move off. So, okay, 2 options there for this control set. The next set that I'm going to show you is a little bit more interesting, and we're a bit more out of the box here. I've gone for a surprise set, which you'll see the surprise in just a moment. We have got Expanding Force, we have got Air Slash, because I don't think you're going to be Dynamaxing this Articuno. We've got Shadow Ball for coverage, and we have got Trick Room as well. Now, obviously, I'm sure you've figured out what the surprise is, but this is an Iron Ball set. So you can see EVs here, very, very different. This is quiet, minimum speed. Again, like I was saying on the speed slide, that this will hit a speed stat of 45, which unfortunately does speed tie with minimum speed, base 45, so things like Marowak and Conkeldurr as well too. You can't be slower than a Moongus, which isn't quite so good, but at the same time, you will still be slower than other things that might operate pretty well in Trick Room, like Heatran and like Metagross as well too. You will be slower than those. I have got quite a lot of special attack investment here because, this Articuno is essentially built to be used in Trick Room. You don't want to be getting Trick Room up and then hitting things, and you want to be making the most out of your Trick Room turns, and the bulk there is essentially so that we can try and get Trick Room up. That is the point of it. For a set like this, Iron Ball, Does ground you, by the way, so you will get the added boost to expanding force in terrain. The point of this yet is the Trick Room, but for a partner for a set like this, you'd probably want to go with an Indeedee, because yes, you will get the psychic terrain like that, and with the Follow Me, it will help you get the Trick Room up, and then in Trick Room, it might surprise the opponent, that your Articuno is quite slow, and you can potentially, get some surprise knockouts there. So good to get the terrain up, good to get the Follow Me up, and then perhaps, because you're grounded with the Iron Ball, you will get the terrain boost to your expanding force and start spamming out moves like that. And okay, this set might look like a bit of a gimmick, but at the same time, some people's teams, their only way to deal with Trick Room is to essentially try and stall it out with something like an Arcanine with Snarl, or an Incineroar with Snarl. Both of those have Intimidate. Both of those, if they Snarl, will do a bit of damage, yes, to Articuno, but will essentially give you a +1 special attack boost, since the lower you want, and then you'll raise 2. So, if the opponent, if they really can only try and stall Trick Room out by snarling and cycling Intimidates and stuff like that, then this Articuno kind of counters that in a way, so yes, it is a bit of a gimmicky set, this one, but potentially, it could have a place and could catch people off guard as well. Let's just have a look at a few of the calculations, though, for this. We've got, okay, so yeah, let's say you lead with the Articuno and Indeedee. The opponent thinks, okay, they're going to go for a redirection. We'll just try for a powerful spread move here to knock the Articuno out. A Helping Hand boosted, Life Orb boosted, Adamant Landorus Rock Slide doesn't quite knock this Articuno out. Likewise, a Life Orb, Modest Max Special Attack, Moltres' Fiery Wrath doesn't quite knock this out as well too. But here's a couple of the offensive calculations as well, which are maybe a little bit more disappointing to compared to what you might have been hoping for. And Amoonguss will survive the expanding force. Obviously, you've got, you could potentially Dynamax, but I don't think you really want to be Dynamaxing this Articuno, because if you're using Airstream, you don't want to be raising your speed in Trick Room, so it doesn't really work like that. But Expanding Force doesn't quite knock Amoonguss out, unfortunately, and Amoonguss can obviously be faster in Trick Room as well. And on a pretty bulky Metagross, a Max Phantasm doesn't quite reliably knock Metagross out as well too, although it can do depending on its investment. So there are ups, there are downs using this set. Maybe it is a bit gimmicky, but if their options are just to Snarl and Intimidate to stall that Trick Room, Articuno is going to love that, isn't it? I have got one more set to show you, and this is the setup set. And you maybe know that I do like my setup Pokemon. This doesn't have Tailwind or Trick Room or Imprison or any of those control options on it, but it is intended to be more of a standalone, bulky Pokemon that can perhaps just win games through itself if it gets set up enough. We have got Freezing Glare, Air Slash, because, maybe it's a bit more reliable when you're not Dynamaxed, because, again, I don't think you're going to be Dynamaxing too much with this Pokemon, and if you do, you're probably going to be on the field quite a long time, after the Dynamax as well, and, again, Air Slash is a bit more reliable. Calm Mind there does obviously raise your special attack and your special defense, make you a bit bulky, make you a bit more offensive, and we've got Recover as well. Now, we have seen Pokemon in the past like Tapu Fini being a pretty nasty threat if they get some Calm Minds up. Likewise, Cresselia, if they get Calm Minds up as well, they're a pretty big threat. Tapu Fini doesn't have a reliable recovery move. Cresselia has got Moonlight, which, in rain or in sand isn't really the best move either. Got quite a low PP as well. But Articuno here has got Recover, which is a really good, reliable recovery move. Lots of PP on that to potentially stall games out. For a spread, for a set like this though, you might want to go with a spread like this, which is the same spread that I used earlier. This the first Adrenaline Orb setup there, but I think it does work very nicely for a set like this as well too, because you do want, with a Calm Mindset, you do want to really be as bulky as possible to try and absorb as many attacks as possible to allow yourself to Calm Mind as much as possible. And with the Adrenaline Orb, yeah, if you're intimidated, you will still be faster than those base 121s, which includes Landorus and all those other nasty things. The special attack as well, it's at that good benchmark where you're not investing too much into it, but still at the +2, you will get the one shot with a Freezing Glare on an on-Dynamax Landorus, so really good benchmark, and the rest, yep, is invested into the bulk there too. So just like the other one, you can see the same calculations. Yeah, Freezing Glare will still get the Landorus, will survive the Crunch, survive a Jolly Rockfall from Landorus as well there, and survive a Thunderbolt in Electric Terrain without a Life Orb from Tapu Koko as well there too. So I do quite like this set because it has got potential to be instantly threatening, perhaps like the other one with the Adrenaline Orb and the competitive boosts if you lead into a Landorus or another Intimidate user. But also, you know, we've had Pokemon that, yeah, like Cresselia and Finny, that have been big threats if they're ignored with Calm Mind in the past. Articuno can do that and is bulky enough to take attacks here on the physical side, but has got this reliable recovery move as well too. So this set is maybe a bit of a sleeper set. Okay, it hasn't got Tailwind, it hasn't got Trick Room, it hasn't got Imprison, but it is intended to be used as more of a standalone Pokemon really, you know, to bulk up, you know, set up, potentially just stall through teams. So I have shown you a few options here, haven't I? Let's just quickly go through them again. We started off with this really simple offensive set, you know, fast offensive with Life Orb, where you can essentially, you know, instantly, if you get the boosts, start threatening Pokemon and taking knockouts straight away. Then we had this control set with the Adrenaline Orb, control because it's, you know, stopping your opponent from Trick Rooming, and potentially, if you want to, you can, after some boosts, maybe Dynamax with the Hurricane and set up some speeds as well. We have got the other alternative to this as well too, with the Citrus Berry. Again, you're a bit faster here, not quite so bulky. We have got the surprise set with the Iron Ball with Expanding Force, where in terrain, hopefully you can get into Trick Room, get into a good position, and get some surprise knockouts. The Shadow Ball as coverage to hit things like Metagross as well too is pretty nice there. And the last set that I showed you is this setup thread, more of a standalone with Calm Mind and Recover as well too. But if I'm going to pick one of these sets, my pick is going to be this control set. I do really like this spread. I think it's a really, really cool spread that I've come up with. With the Adrenaline Orb, yes, you're going to be fast on those base 121s. Yes, with that special attack investment, you can, with a Freezing Glare, potentially one-shot Landorus, which is really good. And the rest of it is sensibly invested into bulk as well too. But unlike some of the other Pokemon that I've done guides for, actually, Articuno is a pretty versatile Pokemon. You don't have to use, you know, these 4 moves necessarily on this set. You know, some of these sets, some of these items can be interchangeable. You know, you could, if you really wanted to, swap Hurricane here for Tailwind, maybe. You could just go with Freezing Glare as your only attack and have the ultimate control Pokemon where you can Tailwind as well as denying the opponent's Trick Rooms. So there are other alternatives as well too, but if I'm going to use Articuno, I think this is going to be the set that I would definitely start off with first. I think this is a pretty nifty set. Again, you've got the ability, the item to become an instant threat straight away, and you've got the control to stop your opponent from getting Trick Room up as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've gained something from this. Hope you've learned something. Thank you very much. Goodbye for now.